hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
Welcome again to Street Talk. My name is Ahmad Shakaraka, and on Street Talk we did political, social, and economics here in Michigan, the U.S., and abroad. Now joining me tonight,
Dennis Burnside,
Charles Thomas,
Paget Maynard.
All right, man, we got a lot to cover tonight, but I want to know what's Biden going to do. He's over there someplace, and back here, things falling to pieces. You know, falling to pieces. He's got the man from West Virginia, the lady from Arizona. They're not doing anything that he wants to do, and even in the party, even in the Democratic Party, we got people in there don't want to come together to do things. I mean, it's really a mess, you know. I mean, how did we get where we at now?
Well, I think your first point about him being over there is really red herring. Would you have him not go to the G8 after what Trump did?
Oh, no.
Let's finish with the Paris Accord on greenhouse gases. Mm-hmm. He has to go. Mm-hmm. He has to go to the G8. So that's irrelevant. Mm-hmm. Where he could be on the North Pole right now, and it wouldn't change the things on the ground that he could control. Mm-hmm. You have a Build Back Better legislation from the Democrats, which polls in the mid-70s with Republican voters, in the high 80s with Democratic voters. Everyone, all the Democrats in the Senate are united, except for two people. All of the Democrats in the House are united. You have a segment in the House that is holding strong for things that people need, and the Progressive Caucus, and they're refusing to bend to the demands of a couple of corrupt senators, and I can call them corrupt without any hesitation, any qualifications. You have Kristen Sinema held a fundraiser in late August with business people specifically opposed to the Build Back Better program. She charged between $1,000 and $5,000 in donations. Then she had 45-minute meetings with each individual lobbyist from that effort, where they paid a minimum of $4,500 to see her. Now, why wasn't she meeting with Native American groups? Why wasn't she meeting with labor groups, African American groups? She met with people who put money in her pocket. And let's look at who Sinema is. She is essentially a no one who ran as a Green Party candidate, who said, as she ran for Senate, that her key item was to increase minimum wage and to have Medicaid negotiate with the pharmaceutical industry to lower drug prices, upsetting the precedent that Bush set in 2003 or 4, where he decided that Medicaid wouldn't negotiate with the drug companies. They could charge us whatever they want, list price plus. So she said she was going to do 2 things about that. Last year, when she had a chance to be the key vote on increasing the national minimum wage to $15, the no good bastard went in front of the Congress and gave it a thumbs down, imitating John McCain, and then had the nerve to do a curtsy. Okay. Then she says that she doesn't want to have Medicaid lower drug prices as an initial position on why she was recalcitrant on the Build Back Better program. And now she won't negotiate. She won't say what her position is. She won't say why she's against it. And then you go to Manchin. Here's Manchin, who is worth somewhere between $8 and $12 million, making $147,000 a year as a U.S. senator. He earned $491,000 in the first quarter of 2021. He is, between his holdings in Energy Systems and Farmington Resources Incorporations, he has millions of dollars coming in from there. He took a $400K donations. He took $400,000 in donations from individual fossil fuel interests between just July and September. And his daughter was head of Mylan Pharmaceuticals, lied and said she had an MBA when she did not.
Right.
And she was given the job because of her bloodline.
Yeah, connection.
And the first thing she does is she raises the price of EpiPens, which are indispensable for some people, from $100 a pack to $600 a pack, well above what any insurance company would reimburse. And people are forced to pay out of pocket or do without their medication. Right. So these are the people we're dealing with. And again, whether Biden's in Mexico, China, or Mars, that doesn't change the facts on the ground that you have a problem in the Democratic Party that goes back to Citizens United, another Supreme Court activist judge movement that said that political donations are essentially speech. And the more money you have, the more speech you have, and that when you can take a congressperson and throw money into their campaign, which has very little oversight, because what happens with that money once it's in the campaign, it's essentially theirs. And you tell me that you have 2 people who, no matter what you do in terms of negotiation, and the progressive wing of the Democratic Party has bent. They've removed free junior college. They've removed paid family leave. They've gone on down and said, well, we are essentially where we have to be to make this thing worthwhile. And I just read as we come in here today that Joe Manchin says the entire $1.75 trillion package, which is what he negotiated to get to, is now something he's not sure he can support because of some below the line concerns he has about how the budget's really going to work out. So that's why things are falling apart. Well, it's corruption, and it's corruption among 2 Democrats and the entire Republican Party.
Well, the thing is though, he's not going to get anything done because he didn't work ever since he's been in there trying to get this bill, and now he's not going to be able to get this done. So,
well, you don't know that. You don't know that.
If he get it done, there's not going to be anything in it.
You don't know that.
No, it's not going to be anything in it.
You don't know that.
He doesn't come from 3.
Even if it doesn't pass, you can't blame him. Well, because the president.
No, but he didn't say that. He didn't say you can't blame him. He said he's not going to get anything passed, and I think that's just. I don't think there's any way to know that.
Well,
you may suspect that, but you don't know that.
They can come around eventually, but when we don't know.
Who gonna come around?
The problem here is not that he doesn't have something. They have something, a great proposal to work from.
Who?
But Biden put out a great proposal.
We know
but
that.
You cannot. The president can only request.
Well,
the president cannot make it happen.
But what I'm saying right now is that ain't none of this bill is going to pass.
How do you know that?
You know, it might if we get down to $9 million, and which is nothing, It might they might pass something like that, but now they're talking about. I was reading the paper yesterday. I think yesterday, they were saying, well, we're going to try to get the what's this now they want to remove from the thing. This what is it? No. It's something that the Democrats want to remove it, and old Joe Manchin, he don't want to remove, and the Republicans don't want it removed. What it is?
You're talking about the filibuster.
You're talking about
filibuster. Yeah. Now they're talking about trying to get it removed. I mean,
the filibuster is not in this. That's not an issue in the Build Back Better program. The issue that we have at hand is that you have Sinema and Manchin who are deliberately being blocks. And if Sinema's demands are acceded to, it would be based on guesswork because she's not talking and she's not negotiating.
Exactly.
And when Manchin says what he wants and they're acceded to, then he continues to move the goalposts further and further back. Mm-hmm. He's not brokering in good faith. But the idea that nothing is going to happen would require you to ignore the fact that what Manchin needs for his voters back in West Virginia and what most of the Republican Party wants is within that $1 trillion infrastructure bill. Now you got to remember, we had 52 times 4 infrastructure weeks under the Trump administration. Uh-huh. We had infrastructure week after infrastructure week after infrastructure week. They couldn't even bring a bill to the floor. Now we've got bills brought to the floor, and you ask the question, why aren't things getting done? The answer is simple. Well, you've got 2 corrupt, recalcitrant Democrat senators.
We know the reason is not, but hey, these people are not going to cooperate. So what
do you do
about them?
Take your ball and go home?
What you do about them?
Yeah, what could you do?
You can't do it. You can't do anything.
Exactly.
because you can't get a vote on anything without those 2 people. They make 50.
Yeah, but
look, you might be surprised that one day, a couple of Republicans might realize, hey, after all, we don't have any bacon and eggs to carry home. So we better do something so that we can get something to go back home with, or else we have no voice.
Well, you know what? All you got to do is check back about 4 months ago. Some of the same thing that the Republicans had voted against, and Biden, they passed it, and then they was going home and talking about, oh, we did this and we did that. So, that ain't gonna make any difference.
Now, notice what you just said. There was some money going back. I remember Mitch McConnell went home saying, oh, we're getting so many $1 million, and I didn't vote for it. Stupid. He said he didn't vote for it, which he didn't. The whole thing is, they didn't vote for it, but they were boasting that this money is coming home.
Right.
Now they don't vote for it. The Democrats don't vote for this. Nobody voting for this one now. What are they going to boast about? What are they taking home? Nothing. So which means they're all losers.
You guys are talking about the COVID relief bill, which the Republicans did not levy a single vote for.
Patrick, what's going to happen?
No.
Let's keep going.
Go ahead.
The COVID relief bill did not get a single Republican vote, right? But it passed. Mm-hmm. And to your point, the Republicans went home bragging about the money that was coming to their districts. Mm-hmm. They have the same acute needs with this infrastructure bill.
And more.
They are being hit at home for relief, for help with bills. They're being hit with people who have everyday security needs like rental assistance, mortgage assistance, improved schools. All these demands are out there. Again, 74% of the Republican voters are in favor of this. So the Republicans have skin in the game too. They are afraid of Trump. That's their cowardice. So let's set that aside. But when you look at what the Democrats have done, the Progressive Caucus has held this thing together, and they refuse to bend. We are not going to abandon our voters and only accede to the demands of the people who have bought and paid for Sinema and Manchin in order to get past the minimum. We want these issues addressed as we address those. So When you say nothing's getting done, you're ignoring or you're not aware of the leverage that the Progressive Caucus has. And in time, it may not happen in November. I think we're likely to see a vote by the end of next week, as a matter of fact, a week from today. But the point is, they still have leverage, and there's still some things that they can do. And the idea that nothing is ever going to get passed, I don't think there's any way possible to do that.
The biggest thing with that is that they're saying, yes, we are in favor of this, but we are not going to vote on it until, because and they're right, had they voted for this other one, the infrastructure bill that was passed in the Senate,
they'd have no leverage.
You have nothing, and you can't trust those Simangwali yams to come back and say, yes, we'll do this. Okay, we'll do this later. No, you do it first, and then we do both together.
Well, you know something, Patrick. We only got a few more months before we got all these people. Got these people running for this, running for this, and running for that. And if things don't get voted on in the next 3 months, say about January, by January, February, you can forget about them.
Hold on.
You know?
It makes the Democrats look as if they don't know how, they don't have the ability to manage, to administrate.
Well, okay.
But if the Democrats are wise, they have a tremendous piece of material to put out showing the people why nothing happened. It was not that the Democrats did not produce programs, but the Republicans refused to vote. And when you have a 50-50 split and two of your people are doing nothing in terms of voting along with your program, they're basically voting with the other side.
Well, you know,
it's a strategy, right?
Right. Well, you know something, man. You know something. The thing is that again, we've got the George Floyd thing, the
voting rights bill, and you would think they would have been passed months ago. Why?
You know?
Why? You got the same issue.
Well, wait a second. Something Ahmad is forgetting, you know. The Republicans made it plain they will not vote for anything to make Biden look good.
See, so why should
that's the strategy.
Why should we think now, and why should you think that they're going to come up with something?
It's simple, man. It's simple. The Democrats can pass whatever they want to pass because they have a slim majority via reconciliation. And you could argue that you could put the George Floyd voting rights bill into an economic package and pass it there through reconciliation. Let the Supreme Court sort out whether or not that was constitutional. And they'd probably say it was unconstitutional, but the bill would pass. But you have to go back to the wall. You could say butter's good on bread, sugar's good in Kool-Aid, mom apple pie, American flag is lovely bill, and the Republicans wouldn't vote for it, and Manchin and Sinema would stand with them because they're corrupted. Right. So it's not the idea that nothing's ever going to get done. The idea is, what do you need to do to move those two objects out of the way? They're not immovable. So through budget reconciliation,
they are not.
They're movable.
Well, I'm saying, are they?
Yes, they are.
Okay, you have to go with the budget reconciliation, but I mean, why not? Why isn't doing it?
Because the pressure that's been manifested on them yet has not moved them to the point where they've been compelled to, and who knows how long that's going to take. But right now, you have had people holding hunger strikes in Manchin's district, in front of him in hotels. You've had people pull up to his yacht on boats protesting. You've had people following Sinema around. You've had the Washington Post and the New York Times, Reuters. All these papers are coming out with exposés on the corruption of these people with receipts. And
Exactly.
let me finish. And you cannot withstand that forever, man, because sooner or later it's going to come to a tipping
break.
point
You're gonna
where
break.
the corruption is so obvious that people at home are going to say a pox on both of your houses if you don't get something done. And that's when Manchin and Sinema will look around and see all these donors coming in and say, this is my reason for existing. This is my bread and butter. I've got to do something. So I don't buy this and ain't nothing gonna happen stuff, because that's not what history shows.
Yeah, it's just plain corruption.
Of course, it's all it is corruption.
they get
And that goes
money.
back to Citizens United, went on a separate case that had nothing to do with campaign contributions. The John Roberts Court, being activist judges that they always could accuse the progressives of being, decided that they wanted to throw in this theory that you should not cap the amount of money that any individual corporation any corporation can give to an individual candidate. So they can give just unfettered amounts of money.
Yeah.
So you take a little backwoods hillbilly like Manchin, Sinema, who never had anything, and all of a sudden she's living in the lap of luxury.
Right.
She's corrupted.
Yeah.
Well,
She's corrupted.
Yeah.
Manchin and his entire family. That's the reason why I tried to mention the fact of what his daughter did with Mylan, what his son did with his oil interests. They're corrupt.
Where's the legal system?
Yeah, but-
to step
The-
in?
because the legal system by the Supreme Court through the Citizens United ruling said it's legal.
Yep.
That's
So-
why.
so-
So you ask a good question. It's manifestly corrupt on its face, right?
Right.
There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing that's analogous to a cop stopping you on the highway for going 80 and a 55, and you hand him a $100 bill and he lets you go.
Right.
That's what's going on.
Right.
Well, this is going on. We know this going on, but hey, and they know this is going on. So I mean, I still ask what Biden is getting done, and like I said, he come from 3 trillion, 3 billion, whatever.
$3.5 trillion.
Now he's
Bernie
down
Sanders wanted $6 trillion. They got down to $3.5 trillion. That's when the negotiations started. Now it's $1.75 trillion,
Yeah.
which Manchin said was his number.
But now he's
And
talking
now
other
he's saying,
words.
as
He's
of
on
today,
he's on
that he
something
has
else.
concerns about below the line machinations on the tax.
Yeah.
It's corruption, man.
Well,
Yeah, just like Trump was doing.
well, yeah, it's corruption.
Trump didn't even bring him to the floor.
Right.
But
Yeah.
But again, when Republicans were in power, they didn't bring any bills to the floor at
No.
all except for tax cuts for the wealthy,
Right.
because they don't exist to do the people's work.
Right.
They exist to put money in their pockets.
Right.
They can go on Fox News and say, I love apple pie, I hate black folks and women and Mexicans, and get all the votes they need just by doing that.
Yeah.
And they can take in all the money they want from their corrupting influences, and that's what they live to do. Democrats, on the other hand, you have, especially in the Progressive Caucus, they're responding to the needs of the people. Look at the polls.
Well,
High 80s for the Build Back Better polling with Democrats, mid 70s with Republicans. The people have needs out
Well-
here. Look at our streets. Look
Right,
at our
right.
schools.
Yeah, the infrastructure.
Well, they have needs, but 75 to 80%. Look at the bill about the guns. 80-some% of the people want tighter restriction and all that on guns, but what? They can't get it passed.
Yeah,
Can't get in it.
because for years and years and years, you've had the NRA.
Well,
NRA.
but so
And the lobbyists.
well, so I mean, how do we think that all of a sudden they're gonna change from that?
Because
They-
what
they-
you
they-
do,
they've been doing it.
Because what you do is what other people are doing, and that's fight and fight and fight and fight. You can't
And
say
don't
back.
give
You can't
up.
lay back and say we ain't gonna get nothing done.
Well,
Woe was me.
well,
You gotta protest. You gotta write letters. You gotta make yourself seen. You gotta demonstrate. You gotta write letters to the editor. You gotta encourage your Democratic progressive wing,
Base.
particularly, to keep doing what they're doing and keep the fight up. If you put your hands down and say it's not going to work, it's over.
I mean, naturally, I'm not going to do that, and
Well, really?
and millions not going to do it. But the thing is that you look at the Democratic Party right now. There's about 5 things they could have a commercial out right now, talking about what the Republicans won't do, and what do they do?
Ahmad suggested to them, call up your congressperson, call up the White House, tell them, look, you need to. I mean, it's one thing for us to say it here, but if they're not hearing it, nothing is going to happen about it because they didn't know people back here talking and are concerned about it.
But see, Patrick, they are hearing about it. That's why. That's the only reason why Manchin and Sinema have been moved to make public statements that, oh, I'm not against it. I'm just concerned about this aspect or that aspect. Prior to that,
Which
they wouldn't even
can't
make a
even say
comment
properly
because
about
they're
that
getting
aspect.
pressure from their people. They're getting pressure from their constituents. They're getting those letters. They're getting those phone calls. They're seeing those demonstrations. And now you're starting to see the stuff come out in the media. You had Reuters, you had the Washington Post, you had the New York Times, you've had AP, all do exposés on the bottom line number when you're looking at the corruption of Manchin and Sinema, and that doesn't happen in a vacuum. And it's not over.
Probably,
It's going to continue to come out.
Probably part of the issue there is they were focusing too much on the dollar rather than the issues, the programs,
But
the things they were going to do. They were not doing a good job of putting it out there exactly what is entailed.
That's what
in
I've
the
been
bill.
saying. You know?
They could have done better on that.
I don't know
But
about that.
at the same time, I am saying here that that is not a reason for those two senators not to work with the team. Don't tell me we're part of a team, but I can't even tell you what I don't like.
But they not saying they are part of the team. They are doing what they want to do, and they getting.
But they're part of the team. They're
You know,
Democrats.
if they were part
They're
of
trying to get rich,
if they were
man.
part of the team,
Yeah, so
if they
team
were
get rich.
if they were
Right.
part
The
of
get rich
the team, they would have passed 2 or 3 of these bills. They're not part of the team. They're trying to make whatever they can make. They don't care about Democrats, you know.
Yeah.
Last year, I heard
They care about something.
this year, the man from West Virginia voted 50-some time with Trump. So I mean, they don't care nothing about the team. All they want to do is make the money for themselves.
They on a
Which is
different
where the
level.
leverage comes. What do they care about? They care about something. What does Manchin and Sinema care about? What's important?
money,
to them?
making money.
Themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you know?
you make the point every time one of these bills stalls that the reason why it is where it is because of the corrupting influence of lobbying big money on Manchin and Sinema. You make that known. You keep putting light on that. Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant. You keep putting that on
Yes.
them, and you put the pressure on them until such time as it becomes too much.
Well,
You just can't say back it ain't gonna never happen.
well, you know,
We're gonna have something. Maybe not as soon as we wanted it to happen, but something is going to happen. And like Dennis said earlier, keep up the pressure, they will cave.
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to?
Don't let anybody make you think that God chose America as his divine messianic force to be a sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you are too arrogant. If you don't change your ways, I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.